What's up, indeed? All right, got the YouTubes going, rocking the TikToks, and hopefully have a good evening. Some solid conversations. Have some, actual engagement in the topic. That'd be nice. Hey, thanks, all religious rejects. Appreciate you. Oh, I don't know why I'm always forgetting that I need to open the guest queue. All right. Go over here. There we go. Hey, Michai. Didn't we? Sometimes. No, really? All right. Well, looking to talk to folks who are. Oh yeah. Yeah, it is annoying. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult. You have some kind of argument or evidence for God, and that you can actually tell me what God you believe in. What up, Poopman Jones? Good to see ya.
Why do you not believe?
Okay, how old are you?
22. Why do you not believe?
Okay, what God do you believe in?
The holy God, our God, the most powerful God in the world.
Okay, which one?
Yahweh.
Okay, so the Christian version or the Jewish version?
The Christian version.
Okay,
Why
cool.
don't you believe in him? Why do you not believe in him?
Yeah, because there's no evidence that would provide a reason to believe.
There's plenty of
I would
evidence.
change. Well,
Look
sure.
outside.
Yeah, sure. I
Look
would change my
outside.
position if you gave me evidence. What's the evidence?
Who created all the trees? Who created all the rocks?
Well, I think that that's a loaded question with an unjustified assumption in it. Why should we think that they were created?
Because everything has to have a hey.
Okay,
Everything
well, if
has to have a creator.
you
Like
don't
you
want to
look
say
at a
that,
building.
Crash Out, you don't want to say that. If you say
somebody build
everything has to have a creator, then that means God has to have a creator.
Did somebody build the building?
Yeah,
Who built the
buildings and
building?
trees are different. I'm sure you are aware.
No, or a painting. Did somebody paint the painting? A
Yep,
painting has to have a
paintings and
painter.
trees are different. Yep.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Okay, well, why don't you demonstrate then that trees have a treer?
God created them.
Yeah, demonstrate that. Give me a reason to believe it.
Because he's omniscient, omnipotent.
Yep, that's just assuming that your conclusion is correct. So what's the justification for that conclusion?
It's real, buddy. He created you.
Yep, I know that that's the claim. What's the justification for the claim?
Who created you?
I don't think I was created, unless you mean my parents.
Who created your parents?
Their parents, I guess.
Who created their parents?
Their parents.
Who created their parents?
Their parents.
Who created their parents?
Their parents.
We can go on and on for days.
Yeah, exactly.
Who created their parents? God.
Their parents did. Well, you have to demonstrate that. Do you have any arguments or evidence that would give us a reason to believe that?
No, but I know he's real because...
Yeah, well, so far all we've gotten is you just restating your belief over and over again with no arguments or evidence, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. To even try to give an argument or evidence. All right. Hey, thanks, Poopman Jones. That's fucking awesome. Whoa. That was cool as hell, Casey. Thank you. That was awesome. Fuck. Thanks for the support already, everybody. All Religious Rejects, Alan Gibson, Colette, Poopman Jones. I don't know what this is. Oppo, maybe? KC, Lem. Thank you all so much. Sincerely. All right. Well, even back to cavemen, the caveman's parents, the caveman's parents would have been created by their parents, right? I mean, it would go back literally billions of years. But yeah, currently don't have anybody requesting. That was an interesting way to start the live. So if you are 18 plus and you think that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God, please feel free to request up. I'd be happy to have the chat. Hopefully we'll get some good debates this evening. Like I said, looking to talk to adults who can state and defend their position. Hi, Sammy. How old are you?
Yo, 22.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I just want to know, like, can I rub my balls in your head?
No, I'm good. Thanks, though. I mean, I appreciate you asking for consent, but I'm set. I'm all set. All right. Yeah, we'll see if we can have some actual conversations. So I was told that it's a bigger problem over on YouTube, but if I'm not talking like directly into my mic, it's a problem over there, and I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if there's maybe like some like effect that I could put on the mic in OBS that sends it to YouTube that would be better. I don't know. But anyway, we'll see. Hopefully it's not too bad. But again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult, that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification for your God belief.
Hello?
Hi, Danny. How old are you?
25.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
The God of the Bible?
I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
Yep.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in God?
Before I answer that, I want to ask you a question, right? So, you want us to convince you that God's real?
I'm asking for, arguments or evidence that would justify your position. Do you have anything like that?
Okay, and if we give you evidence to prove
You
that
said you were
God's
going to
real,
ask a question. I answered your question. What's the argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
there's many historical evidences to prove.
Well, just saying that there's a lot of evidence doesn't present any evidence. I could tell you there's a lot of evidence that there is no God. Are you now an atheist? Of course not. So don't tell me that there's a lot of evidence. That doesn't do anybody any good. What is the argument or evidence?
the historical evidence.
Yeah, just saying that there's historical evidence
Like,
doesn't tell
without-
me anything. So I'm going to give you one more opportunity. What is the best argument or evidence for God?
Would you believe in God if I give you that?
All right, fair enough. All right. Well, don't be like Danny. Make sure that you can actually present the evidence that you're trying to present. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Eclipse, how old are you?
I'm 5 years old.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can have some good conversations. Not looking too promising so far. Hi, Logos. How old are you?
Can you hear me?
I can. How old are
Hey,
you?
can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me? 37.
And what God do you believe in?
37. How's it going, man?
All right.
That's the God, the creator.
Clearly an insane delay there. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God.
Yeah, hello?
Hi, Lou. How old are you?
I am 19.
And what God do you believe in?
The one true God, the God of the Bible.
I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
I mean, just a handful of testimonies from, that period as well as a sharp turn.
Well, the Shroud of Turin is a known forgery. It's a painting made with red ochre on a type of fabric that didn't exist for 800 to 1,000 years after, until 800 to 1,000 years after Jesus was born. So obviously the Shroud of Turin couldn't have existed during Jesus' lifetime. And then as far as testimonial goes, I mean, we don't even trust testimonial evidence that happens now, like given by people that we know. Why would we trust testimonial evidence? There's no reason we would ever trust testimonial evidence from thousands of years ago. That's insane. So obviously both of those things couldn't ever provide us a reason to believe in anything supernatural. So what would be a reason to believe in a God?
Well, considering it was the custom back then to pass down, stories and, tradition orally, I would definitely say there's some truth in, their claims. And for the Shroud of Turin, I mean, they only carbon dated a piece of it. They never, really carbon dated other pieces of it. And plus, if you take into account,
No, we're not talking about carbon dating with the Shroud. We're talking about the type of weave. That type of fabric did not exist until at least 800 years after Jesus died. It was literally not possible to make that kind of fabric. So no, that did not exist. The carbon dating is irrelevant, or any kind of dating is completely irrelevant unless you can give me some reason to think that that kind of fabric actually did exist during Jesus' lifetime. Do you have any evidence to suggest that?
I mean, I'm going to have to see a source on that because I did a project on it and
Yeah, provide evidence that that type of fabric existed during Jesus' lifetime.
I mean,
This is your claim. Go ahead and demonstrate that it's correct. Otherwise, we have no reason to care about the Shroud.
hey man, I'm gonna pray for you, man, because
All right. So clearly, you know that you don't have an argument. You don't have any evidence.
You're obviously being a wimp.
Yeah, I want to hear the evidence. I don't want to just hear the claims. Do you have the evidence to support your claims, or do you only have the claims?
I mean, I already presented it, the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, you talked about the Shroud of Turin. What's the evidence that that kind of fabric, that weave, existed during Jesus' lifetime?
I mean, the fact that the church recognizes it.
What is the evidence that kind of fabric existed during Jesus' lifetime? If the church has good reason to recognize this as legitimate, then they would obviously know about that evidence. So what's the evidence?
I mean, it's coming from the church. I mean,
What is the evidence? You fucking idiot.
All right, you fat retard.
Uh-huh, exactly. I mean, if you're going to be a fucking idiot, and you're going to make these ridiculous claims, yeah, and of course, like the church doesn't say that it's official. Okay, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Thank you so much, KC. Thank you, Tiny Science. Thank you, Cool Beans, Drew Fetz, Lupine, Ghost, Alan. Really appreciate you all. Thank you. All right. So we'll try to see if we can have a good conversation. Hi, Joe. How old are you?
Hello, I'm 45.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in an ontological version of God, the omnipresent and omnipotent, God, creator of the universe, sort of God.
Okay, so you're just
Not
like
necessarily a Christian God.
Right, so you're just like a general theist who believes in a mind that created the universe?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
In the
and
same
what would
way
you
that
say
I
is
can't-
what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
that I know reality exists, even though I can't see, touch, hear, examine it, outside of my own perception. I know reality exists. At the same token, I know that I can accept an existence of there being an omnipotent sort of
Yeah, what's the evidence for
personality.
that thing existing? That's what I'm asking.
That reality has a personality with it. And that
How do you know that
personality-
reality has a personality? This is you're just stacking claims on top of each other. That doesn't give us a reason
I'll
to
tell
believe
you.
anything.
Sure, I know reality has a personality because of childbirth. That
What about
humanity
childbirth
comes-
demonstrates that reality has a personality? You need to stop making claims, Joe,
Yes.
and support one
No,
of
I'll
them.
tell you.
If you can't support
Okay,
this
calm
claim,
down,
I'm moving
calm
on.
down. Okay, calm down.
Yeah,
A
if you do
child
something,
is
if you do
born-
anything other than supporting this claim, I'm moving on.
I will.
Okay.
A child is born with characteristics that reflect a personality. Those personality traits are undefined.
Well, that was not an attempt, not even anything close to an attempt to support the claim that he made. Again, it's I really want to have the conversations. I don't want to have to talk over people. I don't want to have to drop people. But what you need to do is support your claims. If you can't support your claims, then moving on. Okay? Yeah, he was talking bullshit. He was not giving any reason to believe in his claims, and I asked him multiple times to give justification for his claims, and all he did was make more claims without justification. I'm not dealing with that. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Zoink, how old are you?
Hey, Ogre, how's Donkey doing?
Okay, so children clearly can... Yeah, frustrating. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God.
Hello.
Hi, Phil. How old are you?
37.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the God of Abraham.
Okay, that's ambiguous. I'm just asking for a direct, unambiguous answer. So what God do you believe in?
What name can I? Allah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so you're Muslim?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
Creation.
Okay, that's a noun. That isn't an argument or evidence. So I asked, what's the best argument or evidence? So what you should be presenting is an argument or evidence, not just stating nouns. So one more time, what's the best argument or evidence that would provide a reason to believe in a God?
Patterns in order.
Okay, so now you just said two nouns. That's not any closer to either an argument or an evidence or a piece of evidence. So I'll ask one last time. If you cannot answer with an appropriate answer that actually responds to the question, then I will know that you're not a serious interlocutor. So what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in a God?
I would say patterns. Do you want me to elaborate?
Nope, that was your last opportunity. So thanks for showing everybody that you can't actually have a fucking conversation. All right. So once again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. And that you can actually communicate the argument or evidence. Hi, Maria. How old are you?
I am 36.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God.
I appreciate you just giving a straightforward answer when not making me do 20 questions. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Miracles.
Okay, once again, we're back to people just saying nouns. Saying a noun isn't an argument, and it's certainly not evidence. So I'll ask you again, but what you need to do is present evidence or an argument. So what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
You know, that's kind of confusing. The question is confusing, but I'm just going to say things that are unexplainable. Things that has happened in your life. You've been saved. You were supposed to die, but you're alive.
Okay, so what you need to be doing is saying, so what you need to do, if you want to present an argument, is say, here's the argument, and then you make the points, and then it concludes, therefore God exists. If you want to present evidence, then you say, the best piece of evidence for God is this, and here's how it shows that God exists. You're not doing either of those things. Those are the two options in front of you right now. Or the third is to, I guess you could just leave because you know you can't give a reason to believe in God. So what would be a piece of evidence or an argument that would give us a reason to believe in God?
Well, apparently I don't have one.
Okay, you don't have anything?
I mean, I believe it should be enough. Faith is what we...
Well, faith is not a reason to believe in anything. Faith is an excuse when you don't have a reason. So is there a reason to believe in God?
Yes. I have a reason to believe in him, yes.
Cool. What's the reason to believe in God?
Because, you know what, it's going to sound really cliche, the whole thing, I was lost and I was found thing, but you're probably not going to accept that either.
Okay, so you don't have a reason to believe in God.
I do, I just told
Okay,
you
so what's the
miracle, like,
reason to believe in God?
I was supposed to die, but I'm alive? That sounds like a pretty good reason. Okay, so what reason are you, like, what are you looking for me to say? Because I'm a little lost.
I'm looking for you to give me something that concludes, therefore we have a reason to believe in a God. If I told you there is no God and you say, oh, what's the reason to think that there isn't a God? And I said, miracles. Well, that wouldn't inform you at all. That doesn't tell you anything about what you should believe or why you should believe it. That just tells you that I think somehow the concept of miracles is connected in my mind to a reason not to believe in a God, but that doesn't tell you anything. That's not informative in any way whatsoever. I need you to give me something that would, if I need, what you should be trying to do is by the time you're done talking, I have a reason to believe in a God. So just saying the word miracles does not give me a reason to believe in a God. So we'll try one last time. Is there any reason to believe in a God?
There is, but you don't have to. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to tell you why I believe in a God.
Okay. Well, no, clearly you're not here to tell me why you believe in a God, because I've asked you over and over again, and you won't give me anything. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Oh, maybe Dog Cat Knife isn't going to connect. Oh, hi, Dog Cat Knife. How old are you?
I'm 34.
And what God do you believe in?
Oh, I believe in the God of Moses.
Okay, so you're a child. All right, get the fuck out of here. Annoying. All right. Hey, maybe somebody will actually want to have a conversation. Okay. Once again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Christ. How old are you? Hello? Hello? Fair enough. Maybe somebody will connect and want to actually have a conversation. I guess we'll find out. No, I haven't heard the argument from you have HIV today. Hi, Jay. How old are you?
Hey, I wanted to tell you, man, I love what you're doing.
Okay, well, don't come up here if you're a child. All right. So again, if you're in the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus, that you have some kind of argument or evidence for God, that you can actually present the argument or evidence when requested. Hi, Jason. How old are you?
I'm 35 and I believe in the Christian God.
Fantastic. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
So last time we done this, I brought up the whole form of scientific evidence on creation. We didn't really get real far with it, but I would like to go back and touch that again and elaborate.
Okay, what's the reason to believe in God?
Well, you can't get something out of nothing.
Okay, I don't believe something from nothing, and I still also don't believe in a God, so that doesn't seem relevant.
Okay, so like I said last time with the whole Big Bang Theory, and I said I wasn't going to go into the whole hypothetical details because it's a lot to it, but how pretty much space started out as this tiny little tight packed thing with heat and then expanded and turned into all we're doing today. Space has no oxygen, but yet our Earth and atmosphere has
yeah, there's definitely oxygen in space.
No, you cannot breathe.
No, you can't breathe, but there is oxygen.
But yet we have oxygen packed into...
Yeah, because of gravity. Yep. Yeah, because of gravity.
We have oxygen because of trees.
But it stays here because of things like gravity. Yeah, and
how did all of that just happen to exist.
It didn't just happen to exist. It's a result of natural processes. It sounds like you're just trying to give an argument from incredulity. I don't know how it could have happened, therefore it must be a God. So if you're not giving an argument from incredulity, what you should be doing is not asking questions about how did this happen and how did that happen and I don't understand how this happened. What you should be saying is what you no, absolutely not. No, that's exactly the opposite of how we come to rational conclusions. So I'm trying to explain to you, if you can shut up for a moment, what I'm trying to do, okay, so if you want to have the conversation, no, so you're completely misunderstanding. What we need to be doing is saying, here's the hypothesis. And then the question that you ask is, what would we expect to be true if that hypothesis was true? Is true. What would we expect to be false if that hypothesis was true? No, a hypothesis is not a question. It's a statement. And then you go out and you look for evidence that confirms or disconfirms. If you have a reason to believe in a God, you shouldn't be asking, how did this happen? How did that happen? You should be saying, here's the reason to believe that God did those things. That's what you need to do.
No, a hypothesis is an educated guess.
Okay.
It's made off of question.
All right. No. So you clearly don't understand what you're talking about, not willing to even engage in a reasonable conversation. So we'll go ahead and move on. Didn't know what, refused to learn what a hypothesis is. Hypothesis is just a question. Yeah, I'm not going to let you talk if you ramble and you won't actually engage, right? Like, what's the point? Why in the fuck would I do that? Why would I waste my time or anyone else's? All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. If you want to have a debate, what you should be doing is stating a position and then providing an argument or evidence for that position. Yeah, that's pretty simple. I will. How old are you? Okay, apparently not. Hi, Parker. How old are you?
Hello, I'm 18.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus to be God.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Well, first of all, can I clarify that you believe, as an atheist yourself, historically, Jesus was a real man?
No, I don't believe that.
You don't believe that?
No, I don't have any reason to believe that.
Do you believe Genghis Khan to historically be a real man?
No, I don't. I'm not a historical buff. I don't look into the history of these things. Is it possible Genghis Khan really existed? Sure. Do I actually know about what evidence there is to give us reason to believe in him or not believe in him? No, I don't. So I don't take a position on it because it's not important to me. So what would you say is the best argument or evidence to believe in God that doesn't involve a history quiz?
Well, I'm bringing history up for...
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one more time. And if your answer is anything other than an argument or evidence for God, then I'm just going to move on. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
Okay, I'll get into it. So, the Apostle Peter, I know him to be a historical figure.
How do you know that?
Because my father is a history professor.
And what's the evidence that your father has that demonstrates that Peter is a historical person?
Well, he has a PhD.
Yeah, so what? I don't give a fuck about his credentials. I'm asking you for the evidence.
His credentials are his evidence.
I don't give a fuck about his credentials. What is the evidence?
Historians have credentials for a reason.
Okay, so you don't have any evidence? You just have an appeal to authority?
I have...
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one last time. And either you're going to concede that you don't have evidence and move to a different point, or you're going to present the evidence, or I guess you could tuck tail and run away. So what is the evidence that Peter is a real historical figure?
Well, you're asking me...
Well, that doesn't really sound like evidence, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and move on. If you have evidence for your position, it should be really easy when you're asked for it to just say what it is. It's not that hard. Yeah, I know. It's so rude in a debate to try to hold people to the topic of the debate. How dare I? All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I'm not a mythicist. That would require taking the position that Jesus did not exist. I don't take that position. Hi, Make Life Fun. How are you?
I'm good. What's up?
Good. And how old are you?
37.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Well, I would kind of piggyback on the last guy, and I mean, historically, if you look at all the different, major historical figures, you can go through all the different, philosophical guys, Gandhi, all these other religious figures.
Okay, I don't need you
They all
to
have.
just give me
I'm
how we
giving
get
you
to
evidence.
God. Yeah, no, you're not.
I know, I'm
You're
giving
not.
you evidence.
No, you're not. You're not. You're talking about a bunch of other people that aren't related to the
Okay,
topic.
there's like 12,000 different manuscripts that mention
Hmm.
Jesus.
And how
So
many of those are
that.
copies of other, of how many of
So the
those are
Bible was
original work
written.
should be my question. How many of those
Okay,
are
so this is
original
kind of a cool
manuscripts?
fact, real quick. This
So
is
how
good
many of those are
evidence right
original
here.
manuscripts? Your answer should be a number.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
So how
have
many of those are
15.
original documents? Your answer should be a number.
I don't know that.
How many
exact
of them
number,
are
but
original documents? Your answer should either be a number or a retraction of the claim.
okay.
So your answer should either be a number or a retraction of the claim.
Okay, I'll retract
Your
that
answer,
specific.
okay,
I'll
fantastic.
retract
So
that
what is the
specific
argument for
claim.
God? What is the argument or evidence for God?
Okay, we'll go a different route. How about intelligent design? You say that everything happened through natural processes. I say that it was created by intelligent design. You look at simply the sphere, a sphere in general, the Earth, the other planets.
The Earth is not a sphere. The Earth is an oblate spheroid. It is not a perfect sphere. Pretending that it's like perfectly designed is disingenuous.
Okay,
So
well,
what is
okay,
the
look at all of nature then.
yeah?
All
What
of
is
nature.
what is
You
the
have
reason?
perfect, like honeycombs. You have all these different designs, and you can even say patterns, even though you said patterns don't matter or whatever.
I didn't say
And I mean,
patterns
you
don't
look at
matter. That idiot just wouldn't give an argument. He would only say the word patterns. So
so
here's
I'll
the
argue
problem. So what I
intelligent
need you to
design.
do. Okay, so you're saying intelligent design. What is it? What is it specifically that exists that we would not expect to be able to exist if God wasn't there?
What exists? Well, I mean, what is? I mean, do you mind me asking your belief just briefly? I mean, you haven't really clarified that. So
Belief about what?
about how we became to be here.
Natural processes.
So Big Bang Theory. I mean,
The big, I mean, depends on what. See, this is the problem. Like, I don't really know what you're asking me. The Big Bang doesn't have anything to do with what it seemed like your question was. So I have no idea what you're actually looking for.
so like, you have no room for any kind of like, I guess, higher power or creator being at all, like in your sphere of belief. I mean, you don't have any kind of like this could happen, like more of an agnostic view, or are you strictly atheist? Like,
I
there's
don't have.
no.
I only have room in my worldview or my set of beliefs for things that have justification, things that we have reason to believe. That's why my question is whether there's a reason to believe in God. It doesn't sound like you have a reason to believe in God. You just have a bunch of stuff that you're like, oh, it seems like there might be a God to explain this, but I don't know how he would explain it or why we wouldn't expect it to be there if there was a God or if there wasn't a God. And so none of this is actually evidence. Do you have evidence? Do you have an argument?
I mean, I have what I believe, and I know that's not enough for you. So I think that's the whole problem: is you're not going to find someone who is a Christian or who believes in God with like every bit of their being, who's going to be able to give you some kind of physical evidence.
I didn't ask for
that
physical
there is a
evidence.
God.
Didn't ask for physical evidence. Now you're straw manning me and you're trying to pretend that I'm asking for something that I'm not so that you have an excuse to get out of it. I'm just asking for any evidence. Evidence is simply any information that or any data that raises the probability of a given hypothesis. So if the hypothesis is God exists, then evidence would be literally anything that raises the probability that God exists. That's all I'm
here's a good
asking
one.
for.
Okay, here's a good one: the evidence that Noah's Ark has been found. And
Nope, it hasn't.
right
Ron
now-
Wyatt is a liar. That's not true.
I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, I do know that Ron Wyatt is a liar. How do you think that I know immediately what you're talking about as soon as you mention it? Because I've already, between the two of us, only one of us has actually looked into that claim before, and it's me. Clearly, you don't know what you're talking about because Ron Wyatt, who is a nurse, not an archaeologist, doesn't know shit about what he's doing. He just found a geologic formation on top of a mountain and claimed that it had to do with Noah's Ark. And because
They
Christians
literally
are
measure the
gullible,
exact measurements
no,
that are described
yeah,
in the
but you
Bible.
know that geologists have gone there and confirmed that it's just a natural formation. It's a rock formation. There's no wood. There's no sign of human activity. There's nothing. There's no sign of a
Well,
boat.
you say rock formation, but like if there was a global flood, which is what I believe, then no, listen, then.
So how did
then
the kangaroos get to
those
Australia?
rock formations
Yeah, how
would
did the
actually be
kangaroos get to
petrified
Australia?
wood. Those rock formations would actually be petrified.
Yeah, do you
wood
know there's a
because
difference
of the
between
pressure.
rock and petrified wood, right? That petrified wood is not rock. You know there's a difference? You know, the geologist can tell the difference between petrified wood and rock.
Yeah, using carbon dating. which
Do you
is
know the
essentially not
geologist can tell the
reliable at
difference
all.
between rocks and petrified wood?
You know that carbon dating says. that
Okay, so you
lava's
just
like
won't
22
answer the
years
question
old.
because you know it ruins your position? I'll ask one more time. Are you aware that geologists can tell the difference between rock and petrified wood?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And so since geologists have gone there and confirmed that it's not petrified wood, it's in fact rock and just a rock formation that has nothing to do with wood or a boat or human interaction, what would be a reason to believe in God?
I don't think we're gonna get anywhere, man.
I agree, because it doesn't sound like you have any argument or evidence. All you have is bullshit apologist talking points that only work on the most gullible idiots.
Okay. Well, I
All
guess
right.
we'll find out who's wrong.
I guess we will. I mean, I will, because I already know which one of us is wrong. All right. If you're in the guest call, I'm trying to unfortunately, reading comments while I'm talking, and it's not a very good combination. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Is it me in the guest queue? Is this me? Hi, Fatty. I thought, I don't know if you're me based on your name. Hello? Fatty? Nothing? Damn. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Bear. How old are you?
Hey, I'm 30.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
I believe in a Christian God.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Gotcha. I could be wrong about this, but from my understanding, I guess my evidence for the hypothesis that God is real is you cannot find purpose or you can't find purpose or morality in science.
Okay, but science isn't trying to give us purpose or morality. So that's like saying I can't find, like, I don't know, like I can't find a box of cereal at the gun store. Like, of course not. Like, why the fuck are you looking for cereal at the gun store? You should be looking for guns there. If you're going to science looking for things, you should be looking for, answers to scientific questions, not answers to, like, philosophical questions. So obviously, since science isn't trying to give us those answers, we shouldn't consider it a fault of science for failing to do so. So, I mean, that's just kind of ridiculous. Do you have anything that's
I
not
guess
that ridiculous?
I want to explain why I guess I use science, because at least from my understanding, again, I could be wrong. That's the only other alternative to explain why we're here and why they're
No, there's philosophy. There's a lot of these are philosophical questions, not scientific questions. So we should be looking to philosophy. And the vast majority of philosophers don't believe in God.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that isn't evidence God isn't real, though. So
No, I agree. I agree it's not. I'm just saying that, like, the people who are experts, who, seem to actually have the most information about this stuff, don't believe in God, either on the scientific side, who are trying to explain things about material reality, or on the philosophical side, who are trying to, answer questions about, meaning and purpose and why things are the way they are. But again, like, I'm just looking for some kind of argument or evidence here. So far, you've said scientists can't answer questions that they're not trying to answer. Well, that doesn't help me. So is there any reason to believe in God?
Okay, so then I want to ask you this. I have another question. Well, I have a question for you. If my argument is wrong because I believe the only alternative is either science, and you say, well, science isn't the only alternative, then it's philosophy. Is there another one outside of those two that's an alternative to us to believing in God?
There's tons. I mean, there's religions you could believe in that don't have gods. You could be an atheistic Buddhist. You could be an atheistic Taoist. I mean, there's lots of different belief systems. You could be a Dudist. You could be a Satanist. You could be a secular humanist where you don't have a religion. Like, there's tons and tons of different views that you could take. A lot that don't involve a god, and there's just as many widely varied different views that you could take that do believe in a god. This is irrelevant, though. It's not a matter of saying, like, well, I like this view that involves a god, so therefore I'm just going to assume that a god exists. I'm asking, is there actually a reason to think that it's true that a god exists?
I would say, yeah, just because I believe as humans, if we don't have purpose, then what is the point of living?
Okay,
Right,
but
I believe that
okay, so
there's
here's gonna.
essentially a
I guess I have a
purpose.
question
That's
for
gotta be
you.
My fact. Or
So-
not my fact. I'm sorry, my evidence.
So
that
here's gonna be my
purpose
question
exists.
for you.
Mhm.
what kinds of things? So okay, so am I correct that you're saying that we are given our purpose by God?
Yep, I would. Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree with that.
So my problem with that is that I don't think that anything other than objects, tools, can be given purposes by other things. We give hammers their purpose, and we decide what a purpose of a hammer is. We decide what the purpose of a level is. We decide what the purpose of a road is, what the purpose of a car or a computer or a door handle. We decide what the purpose of objects and tools are because they're objects and tools that we use as a means to an end. When something is given a purpose, that means that it is a means to an end. But when we can decide our purpose for ourselves, that's what makes us an end in and of ourselves. So from my perspective, I wouldn't want there to be a God that gives me a purpose. Now, obviously, if a God exists and I have a reason to believe in it, then I will believe in it. But I'm glad that I don't have a reason to believe in a God, that especially not one that would give me a purpose, because again, that would just make me a tool in that God's plan. It would not make me a valuable agent in and of myself. So the fact that there isn't a God giving me purpose is what allows me to have purpose.
Gotcha. So you're saying like we can create the value within ourselves based off of
That's,
what we deem is right.
Not only can we do that, that's the only way for us to have value.
So, but if all of our value systems are different, right? Me and you have different value systems, and I did say like my purpose is valuable, just like you do the same thing. Then who's right?
I mean, that's kind of what philosophy is for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's literally the whole purpose of philosophy, is to try to answer questions like that. If you're interested in the answers to questions like that, then I sincerely recommend you checking out philosophy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a learner, lifelong learner, so I love reading.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 40 years old, and I'm just now getting into philosophy and looking at going to college for it. So, like, I'm a lifelong learner as well, always wanting to, gain my in understanding about the world. But what I'm saying is that it sounds like your reason to believe in God is because otherwise we wouldn't have purpose. But as far as I can tell, you've got that backwards.
That's one of them.
We only have purpose if there's no God. So what would be your reason to believe in a God?
Well, see, I want to argue that point, because if we all have different purposes, right? And then if there's no God, there's no like reason to live in life other than what we determine individually, then when we all die, we just turn to dust. So then like,
yeah, but just believing in a God doesn't make that not true. Just believing that there's an afterlife doesn't make it true that there's an afterlife. So whether or not there is an afterlife has nothing to do with what you believe. So I'm not saying like the consequences of if X is true have nothing to do with whether or not X is true. And my question is it true that God exists? I don't care what you think the consequences are if God does or doesn't exist. I'm asking whether it's true that God exists. Do we have any reason to think it's true that a God exists?
Yeah, that's my evidence. But then I would ask you to disprove that.
Disprove what?
To disprove that, like, without God, that we are, basically that we don't. What I just said, basically, like, without God, when we're nothing, we go to dust.
Okay, so, but you believing in a God doesn't mean that just because you believe in a God doesn't mean that there's an afterlife. And you not liking the idea of no afterlife also doesn't mean that there's an afterlife. So none of this gives us any reason to believe in anything. What's the reason to believe that it's true that God exists? Not just why you want it to be true. What's a reason to think that it actually is true?
But like from the opposite end, from your end, then you're kind of saying the same thing I'm saying, because like what's your reason for believing that God doesn't exist? If you like, you
okay, so you're agreeing that you don't have a reason to believe in God, and you want to pivot to my position?
No, I'm saying my reasoning is, again, one of them at least is the fact that we have purpose.
Okay, well, I mean, we've already discussed that, and you didn't even respond to my point. So can you respond? If you want to talk about purpose, can you respond to what I said about purpose?
Maybe I missed it. Can you say it again, please?
Yeah, that if we are given our purpose by an external source, then that makes us tools. That makes us a means to an end and not valuable in and of ourselves. We're only valuable insofar as we serve a purpose for someone else's plans. That makes us objects, tools. The only way that we can have value for ourselves and matter in and of ourselves as ends in and of ourselves is if we choose our value for ourselves.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. Even though I disagree, I do get the logic behind what you're saying.
Okay, so what's the problem with what I'm saying? Respond to it. Tell me why I'm wrong and why I should believe in a God.
Well, what you're saying is like, I mean, but you just responded to me, or like you basically rebutted what I said. That
okay, so are you agreeing? So then you agree with me that. So you agree with me that it's a bad thing to have purpose given to us externally?
No, I won't agree with that.
Okay, so then what's the reason that I should think it's a good thing for us to have purpose given to us externally?
I think we're kind of changing the argument there. I'll agree with you that that doesn't prove that God exists.
Okay, what's the reason to believe in God then?
Then I will use another, I guess, piece of evidence. The reason or the evidence for God is morality. Let's go with morality.
So are you trying to give the moral argument that if objective morals exist, then God exists, and objective morals do exist, so God exists?
Yep. I'm saying he created morals.
Okay, well, in order to say God created morals, you would need to first demonstrate that God exists and that he created morals. So it doesn't sound like this is going to get us to God. It sounds like you're just assuming that God exists. So what would be the argument that God exists so that he could create morals?
But that's the thing. If I can't prove that God didn't create morals, or God created morals, I'm sorry, then that doesn't disprove that he didn't.
I didn't say that. I didn't say anything like that. You said the reason to believe in God is this moral thing. I tried to clarify your position, and you said that your position is that objective morals exist because God created them, but that just assumes that God exists when what you're supposed to be doing is giving an argument for God's existence. So saying God exists because objective morals exist and objective morals exist because God exists means that your actual argument is God exists because God exists. Well, I can give an argument like that too. God doesn't exist because God doesn't exist. Well, now we haven't made any progress. We've wasted each other's time, and we're no closer to determining if either of us is actually correct.
My argument is then that the only logical evidence of, or like where morality comes from, would be God, because
that assumes that God exists. Because then, if you were correct that objective morals can only come from God, since we don't have a reason to believe in God, we should then conclude that objective morals don't exist. That would be the reasonable conclusion from what you're saying so far. Otherwise, if you want a different conclusion, you would have to give a reason to believe in God. Can you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm lost in what you're saying. My overall.
What you were trying to say is that God exists because objective morals exist, but what you actually said was objective morals exist because God exists. If you're trying to put those together, then your argument is God exists because objective morals exist because God exists, which means it reduces to God exists because God exists. That's not an argument. I can say God doesn't exist because God doesn't exist, and we haven't moved any further in the conversation. So what I'm looking for is some reason to think that it's true that God exists.
Gotcha.
Instead of just assuming it.
So then how would then, and I'm asking you just like a genuine question, how would you say then, or how would I phrase that you can't explain outside of God, or at least what we understand to be God, how morals come to be?
Well, I mean, you could just not say that so that you stop being wrong.
Right, and I'm looking for how I'd be wrong about that. Or like if you could explain where morals come from.
I think morals come from our agency. They come from logic.
They come from our logic, something that we created. Right?
No, we did not. Well, I mean, it depends on what you mean by us creating logic. I think that we created logic as an attempt to describe the structure of reality, but I don't think we created the structure of reality. So in the sense that like logic tells us about reality, we didn't create that. We just created the way of describing reality.
Oh, okay, I 100% agree with that.
So what I'm trying to say... I'm sorry?
Then what created reality?
I don't think reality was created.
You think reality has always existed? Existed, I'm sorry.
Depending on what you mean by always.
Yeah, just has always been around. Like Christians believe that God has always existed.
Yeah, so if you just mean like there was never a state of existence where the universe didn't exist, and that's what you mean by always, then yes, I think the universe always existed. But if you mean like forever, like all like if you mean like infinite time into the past and future, then I don't necessarily believe that about the universe. No.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's kind of the point I wanted to get to. I've watched like a ton of debates, and I'm literally just trying to get up here to get some more information. And that's the point I come to at a lot of those debates, is that you come to a point where you don't, like you just said what you said, you don't know what created reality.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that.
You believe it always existed. Reality has always existed.
Yes, it exists without beginning or end. And I don't mean that in a temporal
God
sense.
Existed without beginning or end. So
sure.
We're kind of on two different ends of the argument.
Right, but you and I both think that the universe exists, right?
I believe God created the universe.
That's not my question. Do you think that the universe exists?
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay, yeah. So we both believe that the universe exists, but you add a God into the picture. What is the justification for adding a God into the picture?
But your God is just reality. Like you
No,
said,
I
you
don't
believe
have a
everything
God.
exists.
I don't believe in a God. What is the reason for adding a God to the explanation?
So if reality isn't your God if you think it always existed?
No, I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in any gods. Reality is not my God. I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in any gods. I do not believe in a God. Reality is not a God. I don't believe in a God. Are we on the same page that I don't believe in a God?
Yeah, but you
Okay,
believe the same thing
fantastic.
I believe about God, about reality.
No, I don't believe the same things. Like, I don't think that reality has a mind. I don't think it has intention or knowledge or power. I don't think it has any of the things that typically are assigned to a God.
That, you did concede, and I could be wrong, that, I'm sorry, not concede, you did just say that reality always existed. You believe it always existed.
I said the universe exists in all states of reality.
The universe exists in all states of reality. Like, it's never been created. It's just
Correct.
always been there.
Correct.
Okay, again, I can say the same thing about God.
I don't care. That's fine. At least I have a reason to think that the universe exists. Is there a reason to think that God exists?
Yeah, I have a reason to think God exists.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, we've been on this one. We've been talking for almost 15 minutes now, and I still have not heard a single reason to believe in God that wasn't either self-defeating or circular, which is self-defeating.
Just because you disagree, but if you
It's not that I. It's not just that I bear. It's not just that I bear. It's not just that I disagree. It's that every single time you've tried to give a reason to believe in God, I have been able to immediately show why it's not a reason to believe in God, and you haven't been able to respond to any of my demonstrations that your reasons aren't really reasons. When I ask you directly to respond to my refutation of one of your points, you move on. You refuse to address it. So as far as I can tell, you agree with me that you failed to provide any evidence for God or any reasons to believe in God. So I'll ask you one more time, because it feels like we're just spinning our wheels at this point. Is there any reason to believe in a God?
We actually got somewhere. The first point that you mentioned, I did concede, like, that's not a reason to prove that God is real.
Okay, so I'm asking one last time, is there any reason to believe in a God?
Morality, you didn't prove me wrong about it. Yeah, I just said it. If you literally just said that reality has always existed. I'm saying God has always existed. You can't explain where reality came from. I can't explain where God came from. You're arguing the same thing. Just from the
No,
opposite
we're
end.
not arguing the
You're saying
same
God
thing.
isn't real,
I
like,
don't believe in a God, and you do. Okay, all right, I'm done. I'm just done. I don't believe in a God. You do. You're supposed to be giving me a reason that I should agree with you. We're not arguing for the same thing at all. I don't know where to go with stuff like that. Like, what am I supposed to do? Oh my God. Oh, Bear, so wrong. Could I become a Satanist if I wanted to? I mean, like, I guess technically I could identify as a Satanist, but I don't know why I would do that. No, I would not debate a flat earther. I could not keep my cool in that kind of conversation. Same reason why I don't debate homosexuality or trans rights or politics in general. I would not be able to handle that. That is way outside of my capacity to keep my cool through. Holy shit, a bunch of people supporting. I love you all. Thank you so much. I don't know where the fuck I was. Thank you, Tiny Science, Mike, Zero, Bradley N, Lem, Aldi. I can't, this stupid thing. Oh, of course it's going to be dumb. Josie, La Paquette, both sides. Miranda, thank you. Cool Beans, Steven.corm. That's interesting. Miranda, both sides. Talarin, Dab Niece, Lem, Lily Girl. Thank you so much. Radio Spencer, Angry Neeson, KC, thank you. Goblin Brain, fuck yeah, thank you. Tree, thank you so much. Gavin, Pappy Loco, Roger, Bradley Cooper, glad to have you here. Thank you. Lamb Jam, that's an awesome name. Poopman Jones, fuck yeah, thank you. Lupine, Lily, Bob is Anti-Theist, and Miranda, thank you all so much. Sincerely, I appreciate it. Okay, so just looking to actually have, a debate about whether or not there's a reason to believe in a God. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are an adult and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hey! Thank you, Poopman Jones. Love ya. Well, thank you, Jaden. IT, how old are you?
I am 38 years old, sir, and I believe in the Christian God.
Okay, fantastic. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
near-death experiences that people's been deemed clinically dead and then stated that they've seen God or seen heaven or hell.
And how did you confirm that what they reported to happen actually happened?
With all due respect, I have not confirmed.
Okay, well, so that's not evidence. So do you have any evidence?
That would be it, sir.
Okay, well, if you ever come across any evidence, feel free to come back. I mean, hey, at least he was honest. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so I need to... Oh, come on. So frustrating. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do one of these. Oh, that's so annoying. Ugh. Sometimes I hate these programs that I'm trying to use for my notes and stuff. Okay, anyway, hopefully we can actually have a conversation. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult, that you believe in a God, that you can tell me what God you believe in, and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Killdozer, oh my God, I'm just seeing your comment about Eunice. Praise Eunice indeed. I would ask you to join the Discord. I will go ahead and throw that up here. I would ask you to join the Discord if you have discovered some new never before seen texts of the history or the dogma of Unitarianism. Please feel free to join the Discord. We have a channel literally all for the dogmas of Unitarianism. So I would love to have you in there. Lupine has been the main person adding to those tomes, but would love to have some more help there and expand on the lore and let people know the truths and the beauty of Eunice. Yeah. Also I have a YouTube if you guys want to go over there and subscribe. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you actually believe in a God and that you can provide some argument or evidence, and of course that you're an adult. Hi, Lamb. How old are you?
Hi, I'm 18.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
Sorry, I actually know you want to reserve this people who believe. I'm an atheist, but I just wanted to hear your opinion on Pascal's wager, because I've heard a lot of atheists debate this and people who believe in God debate this. I just want to hear your opinion real quick, if you don't mind.
I mean, it's just stupid, right? I mean, there's no reason to... It's like, okay, so the easiest way to look at this is that you don't have to be afraid of something that doesn't exist, and you don't have to, consider the probability of what would happen if something that isn't real was real, right? Like, we don't have to make decisions based on what if something that we don't have reason to think is real was real. For example, you're never going to see a theist become an atheist just because there's a possibility that a God called atheismo exists who would only allow non-believers into heaven and would send believers, for being gullible, into a hell 1,000,000 times worse than all the other hells combined. Well, obviously, if his hell is 1,000,000 times worse than all the other hells combined, then that's the worst possible punishment. So you have the most possible reason to be an atheist of all of the Pascal's wager candidates. So if Pascal's wager is a reason for us to make a decision on what to believe, then we should be atheists. So
yeah, that's a very good. I actually really like that one, and I agree that fear mongering is a big thing among people who believe. But yeah, thank you for answering my question. I really appreciate that.
All right, take care. Okay. How do I get into atheismo? Well, you don't. You don't want to be into atheismo. It's a bad thing to believe in atheismo. If atheismo is real, then you don't want to believe in him. Oh, yeah, good point, Catholic Thinker. If anybody wants to know more about Pascal's wager and what it actually, what the purpose of it is and what it's supposed to do and how the religious people should be using it, go check out Catholic Thinker's channel and watch his video on it. I sincerely recommend it. Obviously, Catholic Thinker and I don't have the same positions. However, I think that we both have the goal of coming to a better understanding of these philosophical arguments and their purposes and history. And I think that he's somebody who has a lot of knowledge on that stuff, and I definitely wouldn't turn my nose up at a valuable resource for information and knowledge. Okay, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Is Billy going to connect? Hi, Billy. How old are you?
I'm 18.
No, you're not. All right. Hi, Pluggy. How old are you?
28.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Which version of God do you believe in?
I believe in Christianity.
Okay.
But
And
I just believe in the higher power, that there is something more beyond us than just a reality.
yeah, what's
'Cause
the
you were
best
mentioning
argument or
that
evidence that would give us a reason to believe in a God?
just everything, animals, trees,
Well, just pick
human
one thing
beings,
and then explain to me why it gives us a reason to believe in a God.
life,
Yeah. Okay. So why does life give us a reason to believe in God?
uh, life because who created us? Who
That's a
created
question.
everything?
How does life give us a reason to believe in God?
You're just kind of like come back to what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, because you're supposed
There's
to
no
be providing
definition because
you're supposed to be providing some reason to believe in God, Pluggy. So you're supposed to be providing some reason to believe in God. And so if what you say can't possibly be a reason to believe in God, then yes, I'm going to push back. So, do you have any reason to believe in God?
I mean, I just kind of want to come back with what we were saying with Bear, talking about reality and how you believe reality was already made. But if reality was already made, how, how were we created already in present time?
Well, we weren't
You know?
created. I think that's a loaded word, and we don't have any reason to think that our process of coming into existence as a species could fit the definition of being created. But if you think that we were created by an intelligence, then great. What's the reason to believe that?
What's the reason for you to believe that we weren't?
Well, number one, because there's no evidence to think that there is an intelligent mind guiding any natural processes. And number two, because we have really good reason to think that it's not possible for a God to exist. For example, if God created the universe, then that means that God must be outside of time. But if God is outside of time, that means God cannot change. If God can't change, then he can't go from not creating to creating. So either he was always creating the universe, which means the universe always existed and he didn't actually create it, or if he wasn't always creating, he would have had to change, but we already discovered since he's outside of time, he can't change. So either way, it's not possible for God to have created the universe. But if he didn't create the universe, that means he doesn't exist.
And where are you getting all this information from?
Philosophy, logic.
Okay, and it's also logic and just I feel like you're just kind of trying to combat it and have it deep in your head that it's not
Yeah, I'm
true.
just trying to give reasons
Come
why
with
we
faith.
shouldn't believe in God because you asked me for the reasons we shouldn't believe in God. I'm so sorry that I actually
No,
answered your question.
I see what you're saying, but it also comes down to faith and just
Yeah, faith
overall
isn't a
just
reason to believe in anything. I'm asking if there are reasons to believe in God. So one last opportunity, since you clearly don't want to. Well, you know what? Because here's your options at this point. Either engage with the argument that you asked me to give, or I'm going to move on.
I mean, you're the one kind of arguing. You're the one raising your voice.
No, I do not watch Alex O'Connor. I don't like his content at all. I think that he is damaging the public understanding of philosophy. Oh, I know we're in a debate, but why are you disagreeing with me? Oh, yes, indeed you are, Luna. Yes, indeed you are. Alex would own me in a debate. I mean, if you say so. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. I just did a little bit ago, a little bit ago, Luna. This is probably a child, but maybe not. Let's hope not. If not a child, then maybe a troll. I guess we'll find out. Actually, we won't, it seems like. All right. All right, once again, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. I have debated Catholic Thinker in the past. One time, I don't know that we would call it a debate, but one time we were having a discussion and he made me so mad I swore off philosophy. I said I was quitting philosophy and never reading or engaging with philosophy again. Fortunately for me, I changed, or I changed my mind, right? And now Catholic Thinker and I are on much better terms. We're not at each other's throats. But okay, well, we'll see if what's happening? What's happening right now? What have I done to be blessed with this privilege?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going okay. How are you?
Well, I just wanted to clear something up. I'm still confused from a couple calls ago. So, do you believe in a God?
In fact, I do not. Great question, though.
Oh, okay. Well, because I wasn't sure. You said it over and over again, but you know.
It's never enough.
Yeah, and also, hey, look, I'm actually here to catch a live. I just wanted to say that to anyone who wants to invoke, hey, look at the trees, my culture is not your argument. And if you keep doing it, I'm going to make sure that all the leaves are in your front yard. I'm going to tell all my cousins.
Every of the
make
leaves.
Your autumn so much fucking work.
And then all the willow branches will just slap you like whips.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll never just acorns knocking you on the dome like.
Nobody wants that.
Terrible.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yeah, I did want to bring up kind of one thing.
Okay.
And see how you kind of think of it. So I know both you. So I know you kind of couch the objective morality through agency and through virtue ethics, and you still see that as objective. I just wanted to put out there that I think the fact that it's based on agents, and agency requires a mind, it requires subjects, I think that can still hold under a subjective view.
So
so long as it's not like a error theorist kind of view.
So I get what you're saying. I think that there's a difference though between saying that, what's the best way to say this? So I think there's a difference between a subjective fact like my favorite color is purple, right? So like if I said purple is the best color, that's subjective, right? Because the stance or the truth maker for the claim purple is the best color is my opinion, right? So that's subjective. However, you could say Ogar's favorite color is purple, and you have now stated an objective fact. And just because that objective fact is about an agent, about a stance-dependent thing, doesn't mean it's not objectively true that Ogar's favorite color is purple, right? So I think that there's a difference there, that we can say objective facts about agents that aren't subjective, even though agents are subjective beings.
Sure. Because even if we all magically got Thanos snapped, it would still hold that in that logical framework, that even if no agent is there, should there ever be an agent again, it still holds.
Right. Agency would still have the same entailments. There just would be no instantiation of it.
Sure. Okay. I'm still getting used to the switch from.
How does it feel to lose, Tree? How does it feel to lose?
Yeah, Blender Demon over here.
That's still my favorite. I always forget that, and I love so much that you bring it up.
I'm still getting used to the stance dependent independent rather than the mind independent kind of framework. I'm lagging behind.
Well, I think it's kind of semantics, because I will fully admit that.
And that's why I think stance is better, and I wish my brain would just catch up to it.
Sure.
Because mind is really easy to go mind to brain to physical stuff to there's a lot of trappings with that word.
Yeah,
and I do like stance.
Yeah, I just think like I do think it's semantics because like Lobes and I have talked about this a couple times, and I think that I've kind of told him too that like the thing that I had to switch in my head to go from being either like a kind of non-cognitivist, subjectivist somewhere in that region. I know those are wildly different positions, but I don't think I really could have nailed down where I was. But it was something like those things. What I had to switch was what I think the definition of morality is and what the purpose of moral inquiry is. And once I kind of shifted my perspective on that, then it made a lot of sense to say that morality or like moral claims have objective truth makers. But I think that if you have I think that there are legitimate different conceptions of morality that would lead you to the perspective that that it is mind dependent or stance dependent or however you want to say it.
Sure. Yeah, I guess at least while reading Rosalind Hersthouse's book and Bookport, I'm squarely in the moral quasi-realism camp, which is you can say there are moral truths, they're not, but you can say they are. Like it's the most weaselly space, but I kind of had to put myself there, so I didn't like. I want to give it an honest shot.
Well, I think that you and Annie showed, I think, pretty seriously that there are some problems with the kind of teleological view that, you know, like Hursthouse, Foote, and Anscombe take. And I do think that the kind of like rationalist position doesn't have those like, because in my opinion, if I'm saying that ethical naturalism or that kind of neo-Aristotelian version of it leads to virtue ethics, but the naturalist view has all of these like entailments that disagree with virtue ethics, then I think that just feels like a reductio to me, and that's kind of where I came to and why I had to drop the naturalist thing. And I think that rationalism gets me to the same place without any of the issues. Like we can just say we have reasons to act a certain way, all things considered. That is equal to saying that we have an ought. And so I think that there are these moral oughts. But like I said, I think a lot of it comes down to semantics.
Yeah. It's always weird to see like, oh, if I kind of take this argument and come out, base it in this other kind of framework that, maybe in that framework, it leads to all sorts of weird stuff.
It can, yeah.
Which I think that's what I like. What I like about philosophy is like, it's annoying to learn because everything is really siloed, but also it's really siloed. Like you can hold to objective moral, but be a truth minimalist. That true has no metaphysical meaning, and it's just a descriptor. Like that house is blue.
Well, I think that there's so many of these things. Like I think about the fact that even while holding to mereological nihilism, I'm also holding to, well, I don't know if I still want to call myself a mereological nihilist. I may have Morian shifted my way out of it. I'm still kind of nailing that down. But even as a mereological nihilist claiming to hold to a form of identity theory about minds, like that's just such a like you said, it's so siloed because like if we're talking mereology, I have this position, but then if we talk philosophy of mind, I have to just like completely ignore all of that stuff and say like, okay, now inside of this silo, here's where I end up. Yeah, I think it's really, I don't know. There's so much of it.
Yeah,
eventually I will know all the right philosophical answers though. I'm getting there. I will know all the right ones.
That is the one thing I will give to theists. Now, this doesn't make them right, but they can put a pretty little bow on it all, and it solves all that. But also, I know you tried, I tried. At the end of the day, I don't know, it's like, if it works for you, cool, great, but some of us, we want to know what's true, and despite possibly making our lives harder, we're like, we got to do it.
Well, and also I think that there's so many like unwanted, unnecessary entailments from believing in religion that we just don't want. But I love you. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to move on to get some debates, but thank you so much.
Yeah, totes.
All right.
Screw Alex O'Connor. Bye.
Take care. Fuck yeah. Okay. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. I'm so sorry that I wanted to talk to a friend. Goodness gracious. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Ryan. How old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
To be honest, I don't know. I'm kind of open to everything. The possibility of him not existing and existing.
Okay. I mean, do you currently think that there is some kind of like creator mind that sustains the universe?
I would like to think that there's a force at play that possibly have created us, I guess.
Well, what would be the reason to believe in that?
So basically my argument would be like science, and you mentioned that the earth had no start or no ending. So
No. I never said that.
Infinity.
Nope, I never
And
said
science,
that.
like,
Yeah, I didn't
talked
say
about
that.
Murphy's Law.
I didn't say that. Ryan, can you
I
hear
could've
me?
sworn- Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it sounds like maybe you can't hear me. I never said that stuff.
Sorry, I could have sworn you said that you thought that there was no start or no end to the earth.
Nope.
Or our existence.
Nope.
Okay, well, that aside, sorry, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, so I just
I
want to
don't
get
think
to the. I just need to get to it here, Ryan. I don't mean to be an asshole, but like I'm going to be an asshole. Is there some reason why we should believe in God? And if so, can you just directly tell me what it is, please?
Yeah. So, again, I'm not telling you to believe in God. What I'm saying is, science kind of goes with like Murphy's Law. And
Okay, so I'm asking if there's a reason to believe in God. So what I need is something along the lines of the reason to believe in God is. I'm sorry?
There'd be no exact reason if someone
Okay.
had that reason.
All right. Well, if we don't have a reason, if you also think that we don't have a reason to believe in God, then it sounds like we agree. So I appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming up.
Well-
I'm going to move on to the next person. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of substance happening there. What happened to my mouse? Okay. Okay. I just want to check one. Okay. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you believe in a God, that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God, and of course that you're an adult. Hi, Stardust. How old are you?
I'm up by mistake. I'm a friendly.
Okay. Well, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your night. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks. Hi, Trumpetta. How old are you?
I'm 18 years old. My English is not perfect, but I think we can have a good conversation about this.
Yeah, we'll certainly try. What God do you believe in?
Yeah, I'm a Christian, and I believe only in God, Jesus Christ, and the Father and the Holy Spirit.
Sure. So what's the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
Let's start from this is the first time I meet your wife, and I'm wondering that you're not Christian, you don't believe in anything, or like you're atheist or what?
I am an atheist.
Yes, and then what you believe? This is my first question to start my conversation. I need
No, we're not doing questions. You're providing some argument or evidence for God.
Yeah, okay, let's start from this. Okay. The first thing is like, I know that you hear a lot of this, but let's start from the people and the earth. Not when you see something. I'm gonna give you this thing.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, there's a lot of preamble happening right now. There's a lot of like, you're talking about giving the argument. I don't want you to talk about giving the argument. Please do not talk about giving the argument. Just give the argument.
Okay, but the argument needs to.
No, just give the argument. That's it. If you do anything other than just give the argument, I'm going to drop you.
Okay. First thing, do you hear from for Sodom and Gomorrah?
Okay, so you're still not giving the argument. This is your last opportunity. Just give the argument.
The argument is, in the Bible says that Sodom and Gomorrah was two towns. The towns like...
I don't care what the Bible says. I don't care what the Bible says. What is the reason to believe in God?
Then we cannot have a conversation when you
Okay.
don't let me to speak.
Sounds good. I mean, if you won't actually give the argument and all you want to do is stuff, you know, like appeal to stuff that you know I don't believe in, then we're not going to get anywhere. All right. Let me... where did that go? Where'd it go? Really? Really? Whatever. All right. So yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you actually believe in a God, that you are an adult, that you have some kind of argument or evidence for God that you can present without a bunch of bullshit. Captain, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
I would say the best evidence that you're going to get that God exists is the record of time. So what is the date today?
So just because Christianity has been culturally like impactful doesn't mean that the beliefs of Christianity are true. Like, for example, what's the day today? What's the day of the week?
The day of the week, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, and you know who Wednesday is named after?
Right.
Yeah, it's named after Odin, right? And Thursday is named after Thor, right? Right, yeah, and Friday is named after, oh shit, Frigga, maybe? Freya? I'm not sure, but it's one of the other Norse gods. So yeah, we have days of the week named after Norse gods, just like we have the years numbered around a Christian idea of timekeeping. It's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with what's true. So what I'm asking isn't, hold on, what I'm asking isn't, what do you think has been an impactful religious belief? That's irrelevant. I'm asking, what's the reason to think that God actually exists?
Yeah, I would say that the days of the week are different from altering the...
No, it's not. You're just saying that we have cultural practices that are derived from your religious belief, therefore your religious belief is true. The problem is we have cultural norms and practices derived from other religious traditions, and you don't think that those are true. So obviously, just having cultural norms and practices derived from a religious tradition isn't enough for us to think that that religious tradition is telling us something true, and what I care about is what's actually true. So for the last time, what is a reason to believe that God actually exists?
That was my only argument, brother. I don't think anything else is going to show that God is real.
Well, that's certainly not going to show that God is real. So if that's all you've got, then it sounds like you don't have a reason to believe in God either. That is sad. Genuinely. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Flex. How old are you?
Hello. I am 19.
What God do you believe in?
I believe in Christianity.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
There's multiple, but I'd say the fine-tuning argument.
Okay. Is there something in specific that you think is fine-tuned?
Yes, the fact that we are in such a perfect, like, we're in a perfect spot for life, right? What are the chances that we are in the habitable zone around a perfect star for us?
I would say 100% because we are here. And as far as what are the chances that we could have ended up somewhere else, I have no idea. I don't have any reason to believe that we could have ended up anywhere else. So I don't know that this is meaningful. So, I mean, just saying that we're in the habitable zone, I mean, we could be literally 50% further away from the sun, or like, I think like over 1 million kilometers closer to the sun. than we are now, and it wouldn't impact us. We would still be able to survive. So like we're not in some like, you know, perfect harmony. We just happen to be in a really wide zone where water can be liquid and there are, you know, seasons and stuff. Like that zone goes all the way out to Mars. So like
Right.
there's no reason for us to think that this is some special thing. And also, as far as we can tell, there are lots of other planets around other stars that are also in the habitable zone and could have life. We just haven't been able to investigate that yet. So again, like this isn't, I have no reason to think that there's any fine tuning here. So is there something specific that you can point to that we actually should think is fine tuned?
Right. So, do you know how, like, small 1,000,000 kilometers in space is?
Compared to the distance from the sun, it's not that small. And also, like, we get 3 million miles closer to and further away from the sun over the course of every year. So obviously we're not in some like perfect distance from the sun, since our distance changes a lot and it doesn't impact us at all. We don't feel hotter or colder because we get a little bit further away from the sun. So like
We do feel colder.
no,
Winter
don't
is
no.
obviously
That's
a
not
season
because we're
when
farther
everything's
away from the
colder.
sun, genius. That's because
what
we're
is it?
tilted away from the sun. It's because less direct sunlight gets to the northern hemisphere while we're tilted away from the sun because of the part of the orbit that we're in. And obviously summer is when we're tilted toward the sun, so the northern hemisphere gets more direct sunlight. That's why, did you know that when it's winter in America, it's summer in Australia and vice versa? Even though
Right, so
they're on
they're
the same
closer to the
planet?
sun.
No, not because they're closer to the You think Australia
Oh my gosh.
You think Australia is Hold on.
Australia is closer to the sun during some seasons, okay? We are on a
Hold on.
slanted
No,
axis,
stop.
right?
I can't do it.
You're not letting me argue.
You
This is a
You
this
think
is a
that's
grown man
you,
not
you,
letting me argue.
you think that you think that Australia on the same planet as us, on the same ball, spinning at the same time as us, you think Australia is closer to the sun by a significant enough distance that it changes the seasons? You think that's the explanation?
You just said it. Oh my gosh.
No, it's because of the tilt, dude. Like if the sun is
Yes,
right
the
here,
tilt,
hold
right.
on, I'm explaining it. If the sun is right here and the earth is tilted like this, then obviously, well, because this is a ball, right?
What's closer, your middle
So-
finger or the palm of your hand to the sun? Right?
Considering that like the distance from the earth to the sun is 93 million miles on average, the distance from like the one side of the earth to the other, or like the top, you know, that's tilted to the bottom, like it's negligible. It's not an important. You literally just got done saying, a moment ago that millions of kilometers is no big difference, and now you're trying to say that the distance based on the tilt of the earth makes a big difference? Of course not. No, it's because when the sun is tilted, I wish I had a ball here to show this. When the earth is tilted, when the earth is in a specific part of its orbit, the northern hemisphere is getting more direct sunlight. It's got more amount of time during the day that direct sunlight is hitting the surface of the earth and warming it, and that results in warmer air, which results in warmer overall climate. When we're on the other half of the orbit and the southern hemisphere is closer to the earth, when the southern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun, that means it's getting more direct sunlight. It's not about the distance from the sun, it's about the amount of direct sunlight it's getting. If you have this this low of a level of understanding of just like the most basic facts about how like seasons work, I don't know. I don't know what's happening in our public schools. Anyway, is there anything that you can point to that is actually fine-tuned, or that we actually have a reason to think is fine-tuned?
That primordial soup turns into a sequenced DNA.
According to scientists who study abiogenesis, the chances of that are extremely high.
Extremely high.
Mhm.
That
Yes, it's
complex protein structures.
Yes. Yep, because the type of environment that existed on Earth around those heat vents were extremely conducive to that type of chemical activity. So yes, the odds of that happening was extremely high at that time.
But it's only in that place, right?
Right,
This
and that's
doesn't
why
happen
that's where it developed. Yes, correct. That's why we don't see new life forms developing all over the place, because now if a molecule like that did naturally occur, it probably would just get eaten or otherwise interfered with by something that already is alive. And also, the Earth doesn't have the same chemical composition in the atmosphere or in the ocean as it did billions of years ago. So, of course, there are going to be different chemical reactions that were happening then than there are now. So here's the thing. It doesn't sound like you actually have any understanding of this argument. I'd be happy to instead assume the burden and provide an argument for why I don't think fine-tuning is evidence for God. Can I do that?
Wait, do you believe in the Big Bang? I just want to ask that.
As far as I can tell, the Big Bang is our best understanding, our best explanation for the expansion of the universe.
Okay, so why would so much mass come from nothing?
Nobody says anything came from nothing.
Then where'd it come from?
We don't know. It could have existed forever. We have no idea.
Something had to have caused. See, right, so something had to have caused mass to be formed, right?
No.
Then how would mass be formed?
I guess it depends on what you mean by mass, but as far as like the hot dense state, we have no reason to think that it had to be caused into existence by anything other than the normal natural processes. Like, for example, one potential cosmological model that is still on the table is the Big Bounce, Big Crunch model that says that when there's a hot dense state, it expands, and then after a certain amount of time, when the expansion slows down, gravity takes over and it collapses back in on itself, which would then lead to another expansion. So it could just be an infinite process of crunches and then bounces and then crunches and then bounces. There's no reason that that couldn't be the case. So maybe, but prior to our Big Bang, maybe there was an infinite series of Big Bangs and big crunches before that. We don't know. The best that we know from what scientists tell us is that the Big Bang says nothing about whether or not the universe began when the expansion began. So, okay, again, you clearly don't have anything there either. You don't understand the science. So you're trying to talk about fine-tuning. I'm willing to take on the burden here and provide an argument for why I think fine-tuning doesn't work. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to keep floundering around?
Me this has been going on for infinite time, right?
That's a possibility, yes.
There has to be something that causes
Why?
this, right?
Why?
Because nothing can't come from something.
Yeah, if it always existed, well, first off, you mean something can't come from
Or
nothing.
Something can't come from nothing. I get
Right.
my words mixed up.
Right. And if the universe existed infinitely, then there was never nothing, and we don't have to worry about what came from nothing, because there wasn't nothing.
Fuck, you got me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna leave.
Okay, I was going to give an argument against fine-tuning, but fair enough. If you just want to run away, I mean, you definitely can. You're 100% right about that, Quigley. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus. That you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, woman. How old are you?
Hi, I'm 21.
And what God do you believe in?
I am Christian.
When were you born?
I was born 2002.
Okay, well, obviously you're lying. I thought that sounded like a child, but I wasn't sure at first because sometimes, women sound younger. But yeah, no, that was a child. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you actually are an adult and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah, that math ain't mathin' at all. Hi, KD. How old are you?
I'm 24.
And what God do you believe in?
I'm Christian. I believe in Christianity.
Okay. And I'm sorry, you said you're 24?
Yes.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in a God?
Actually, I had a question about your statement about you gave a guy opportunity for you to explain to him, like, I don't know what his argument was, but you were trying to give him an opportunity to prove that God wasn't real because of that. I can't remember what it was. I'm sorry. But I just wanted to hear that argument, to be honest.
Are you talking about the last guest?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because he was giving the fine-tuning argument, so all I was going to say is I think that there are good arguments that would tell us that fine-tuning is not evidence for God, especially not the Christian God.
Right.
I mean,
just
is that an
I mean,
argument
I
that you're
just wanted
interested
to
in?
hear your argument about how, okay, if fine tuning, quote unquote, he said it is a thing, but you told him that basically I can give you an argument on why fine tuning wouldn't be evidence for God.
Yep.
I wanted to hear that argument.
Yeah.
From you.
Okay. Yeah. And you agree that the Christian God is all good, all knowing, and all powerful, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So because God is all powerful, if he exists, then he could create life with any set of physical constants, right?
Understood.
Okay. And if he could create life with any set of physical constants, then that means that if he exists, we wouldn't necessarily expect there to be fine tuning, right? Because he doesn't need it for life.
I could see that.
Yeah. And so since the hypothesis God exists doesn't predict fine tuning can't be evidence for the hypothesis that God exists. So obviously, fine tuning is not evidence for God.
Do you believe that you can't have good without bad?
So I would like you to respond to the argument, please. You asked for the argument. I presented it. Please respond.
Okay. Well, I think it does tie into like the fact of like good versus bad. Because if you
Well, we're not talking about good or bad right now. We're just talking about the fact that the theistic hypothesis that God exists does not predict fine tuning. Therefore, fine tuning cannot be evidence for the theistic hypothesis. It can't be evidence for God. So that's my argument. Do you have a response to it, or are you agreeing?
I would agree.
Okay.
I could see that.
Okay, well,
I'm not really, but I appreciate it. I just wanted to know, to be honest. I appreciate it. Thank
Well,
you.
I'm willing to take it a step further and say that fine tuning is evidence against God.
Okay. I'd like to hear. I'm here to have a conversation, so sure.
Sure. So I would say that, like I said before, that you agreed to, if theism is true, if God exists, then God could create life with any possible set of physical constants. We already agreed to that. If that's true, that God can create life with any set of physical constants, then that means that there are more non-fine-tuned universe that could have life than fine-tuned universe that could have life, right?
I guess
Because
that's a possibility, yeah.
well, the typically theists want to say that fine-tuning is unlikely, and that's why we should believe in God, right? Because it's so unlikely to find fine-tuning, right?
Right.
And if it's unlikely to find fine-tuning, then that means that there are more not fine-tuned ways the universe could be than fine-tuned ways the universe could be, right?
Okay.
But God could make life exist in any of those universes, fine-tuned or not, because he's all powerful, right?
Right.
So that means that if God exists, it's more likely that we would find life without fine-tuning than life with fine-tuning. So it's actually unexpected, if God exists, that we would find life in a universe that has the appearance of fine-tuning. And if it's unexpected under the hypothesis that God exists, that means it's evidence against God. So it's actually the fact that we find the conjunction of life with fine-tuning in our universe is evidence that God does not exist, at least not the Christian God.
Okay. I could see what you're saying then. Okay. Cool. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you for breaking it down for me.
Fair enough. Have a good one.
You.
I was hoping that we were going to get some pushback and actually have the debate there, but apparently not. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Well, I was actually about to let you up. I see no one, but when, well, that's probably true, Catholic thinker. That's probably true. I'm not real good at picking up on that stuff because I'm an idiot. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of the begging in the chat. So I will go to the next person and then maybe I see no one will be next. Hi, John. How old are you?
Hey, how's it going? 42.
Oh, okay. And then, what God do you believe in?
I'm a Christian.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
His presence, the evidence of him every day, seeing his works.
So the evidence is the evidence? Wow. How insightful. I never thought that the evidence for God was the evidence for God. How did I never see that? I mean, obviously that's not informative, guy.
Have you ever read the Bible?
I've read a lot of the Bible, more than the vast majority of Christians that I know. So what's the evidence for God?
That's your question. What's the evidence for God?
Yeah, or some argument.
I mean, he's driven by my faith and he drives my faith. So
Yeah, so that just assumes that God exists, so that can't be true. So that can't be true unless God exists. What's the reason to think that God exists?
I know he does.
Yeah, how did you justify that knowledge?
I don't have to justify it.
Oh,
Why
so
would
you
I
don't
have
think
to?
knowledge requires justification?
No, I don't.
Oh,
think-
okay. Well, hey, I mean, if you can just believe any nonsense without justification and call it knowledge, then I guess, but that's just not the way that most rational people work. So do you have any reason to believe in God, or should I just move on to the next person?
Besides, I feel him every day. His presence is with me inside.
All right, so fair enough. I will take that concession. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God. Exactly right, River. It's just my fifis. Yeah, he's got God deep inside of him every day. He meets him in the woods behind the porno shop. I know one. How old are you?
Hello.
When were you born?
I was born 2006.
Uh-huh. You were not born in 2006. All right. Child. Yeah, that was definitely a child. All right. Yeah, 2016 maybe. I mean, I believe like 2013. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. I would love to have a real debate. Hi, Connor. How old are you?
Hello. I'm 19.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus Christ.
Cool.
Christian God.
What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Firstly, I just want to clarify, is what you're asking like proof in the sense of being able to prove without a shadow of a doubt? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Nope.
But when you say proof, are you saying like...
Well, I didn't actually say proof. I know it says prove me wrong up here, but that's more clickbait than anything because when I put some nuanced thing up above me, then nobody knows what it means. So I just have that because it's basically fucking clickbait, and I hate that I have to do that. I wish that I could have something more nuanced. Unfortunately, I can't. However, I don't ever ask anyone for proof. I'm just asking for arguments or evidence. That's all I'm looking for.
Okay.
And evidence would be anything that raises the probability of a given hypothesis being true. The hypothesis in question here being that God exists. So anything that raises the probability that God exists would count as evidence.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I could kind of go two different routes. First, I could go by a faith
Well,
route,
just give me one
or I could
argument.
go
Just
by
we
a
can only talk about.
scientific route.
Well, definitely
Well,
don't talk about faith because faith can't give a reason to believe anything.
I want to talk about the Big Bang. I believe the Big Bang proved God's existence because scientific, or I guess atheists, believe that the universe was created from the Big Bang.
Nope.
Is that kind of what you
No,
believe?
absolutely not.
Okay, so how do you believe the universe was created?
I have no reason to think that the universe was created.
So you just believe that it's always been?
Depends on what you mean by always, but I don't know why you're asking me questions. Your claim is that the Big Bang demonstrates God exists. Show how. Give us the demonstration.
No, my question is...
No, and you're not asking questions. You're providing the argument that shows that the Big Bang tells us God exists.
Well, you're talking about the debate, so isn't a debate like sort of back and forth?
Yeah, so what a debate would be is you presenting the argument for your position and then us discussing whether there are problems with your argument and whether we actually have justification from that argument to believe the conclusion that you want me to believe. So present the
Okay, fair
argument so
enough.
we can have the debate.
I believe God's existence because I believe that he created the universe
Well, he couldn't
because
have created the
the Big
universe unless
Bang,
he exists, so you're putting the cart before the horse right now. What is the reason to believe that God exists?
because well, you could look at the creation of the universe for one thing.
Okay, why should we think the universe was created?
Are we okay? If the universe wasn't created, then how are we here?
Okay, that's a question. Remember, you're supposed to be providing an argument. Every time you ask a question, it tells me and everyone who's watching that you know you don't have an argument, and you're just hoping that you ask a question that I don't have the answer to, and then you can beat your chest and pretend you won something. You're supposed to be presenting the evidence or some kind of argument. What's the reason to think that the universe was created?
Well, I just look at things that
Well,
are
I just
so
look at
fine
things and
tuned.
I don't see any fine tuning in any God. So now we have your looking at things and we have my looking at things, and we're not getting anywhere because they cancel each other out. So that's not going to help us. What's a reason to think that the universe was created?
Okay, you could look at things
No, we're not
from
going to
a
talk anymore
technical
about looking at
standpoint.
things. We're just going to talk about actual evidence or legitimate arguments that would give us a reason to believe in a God
Well,
or that the
there
universe was
is no
created.
evidence. Then there is no evidence. I can't prove
I
that
agree.
God is
There is
real.
no evidence. Fantastic. Thanks for the concession. I mean, if you can't just say the evidence, if you can't just say what the argument is, then I can only conclude that you don't have one. So yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Before I move on to the next person, I always forget this, but thank you so much everybody for the support. I don't know, cripes. I don't know how far back I have to go here. Hey, fuck yeah. Yeehaw. Thanks, Bootman Jones. Thank you, Infexus, Kian, Lamb Jam, Midnight Zoomies, Broken Tree Branch, Oppo, TC Bay, Adrian. Oh, I didn't even fucking see the money gun. That's fucking awesome. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the rose. Yeah, Stardust, 3 pips, Lem, Bertram. Thank you, everybody, so much. I sincerely appreciate the support. Hey, I love you too, Moon. Yeah, I really do appreciate all your support, everybody. As I've talked about, I do have a Discord. We're getting some more people in there, a little bit more activity. And so obviously more people that come in, the better opportunities we have to have good conversations, learn from each other, build community, those kinds of things. And then also I have YouTube. If you guys are interested in going over and subscribing there, I would love to see that. That would be very helpful so I can do more on YouTube. But either way, I appreciate y'all being here, the likes, the comments, the shares, all that stuff. Thank you. And of course, thank you so much, everybody, for the gifts and everything. But yeah, we'll move on to the next guest, and hopefully we can have an actual good conversation. Oh. Hi, Shady. How old are you?
45.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe not necessarily a God, but I think God was a alien being from.
Okay. Well, that's not what I mean when I say
ago.
God isn't real, so we're just not talking about the same thing. So I'm just going to move on to the next person. Okay. Hi, Growth. How old are you? Or not, apparently. What do we got? Yeah, that doesn't do me any good. If you're in the guest queue, but I've talked to you within the last couple of days, I'm just not going to bring you up, just so you know. Not going to have the same conversation, same debates over and over. Hey, Architect. But yeah, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Caden. How old are you? Okay. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, I know I was muted. My dad called me, and I wasn't sure if there was something wrong or whatever, but all good. An argument, not the same conversation. Okay. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Sorry for the delay there. Hi, Luke. How old are you? Hello. Luke. I am not your father, but you should come back. Hey, Tap. Glad to see some folks over on the YouTubes. Okay, well, apparently Luke isn't here for the convo. Fair enough. Like I said, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. I may have spoken to this person before. I'm not sure. Hi, Dino Bro. How old are you? Hey, thanks for the round of applause. I appreciate it. All right. Yeah. Maybe we can have a good conversation with the next person. Hey, thanks, Casey. You're the goat. Hi, Edits. How old are you?
Fuck you. Go to hell.
Fucking 8-year-old. Your parents should take your phone away. You should not be trying to request when obviously this is not a place for children. No children. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue, yeah, after begging to be let up, comes up here. I mean, I would give him like 8. Maybe he was like 8. Oh, fuck. I was trying to pretend that I didn't get cooked, Poopman Jones. Why you gotta put me on blast like that? All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Folksy. How old are you?
Oh, I'm 46.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Well, I believe in Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. But I'll talk, and then you can.
Well, what would
spit out your facts?
Well, I just want to know the reason to believe in God.
Why not?
I mean,
honestly, I'm not being an ass. You know that. I'm trying to be.
I don't know that at all. It sounds like you're being an ass. Because I keep saying over and over again that to come up here, you should have some kind of argument or evidence for God. And why not isn't an argument or evidence. So I will ask you, what is the argument or evidence for God?
Well, I mean, there's so many blessings every single day that we have. And there's also so many, I mean, you laugh at me. And this
okay, so it just sounds like you don't have anything. Do you need me to give an argument against God?
Yes, please.
All right. And
I have quite a bit, but I mean, I don't want to hear yours.
All right. And you said you're Christian. Do you believe in like the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good version of God or some different version of God?
Both versions. I mean, God in the Old Testament was not the most pleasant
That's
man.
not what I'm asking.
Okay, what are you asking?
Is God all-knowing, all-good, and all-powerful?
I believe so.
Okay. So because God is all-knowing, for him to know anything, he must have a mind, as knowledge is a mental state. What that means is that he has either one unchanging mental state or a series of changing mental states. But because God is the creator of the universe, that means he's outside the universe, which means he's outside time. If God's outside time, that means he can't undergo intrinsic changes because changes only happen inside time. That means that God's mental states cannot change. The problem with that is that in order to act on your will, your mental state needs to change. You have to go from the mental state, I intend to do X, to the mental state, I am doing X, to the mental state, I have done X, right? So since God his mental states cannot change, he doesn't have that capacity, he cannot act on his will. But if he can't act on his will, he can't create the universe. However, like I said, if God exists, he did create the universe. Therefore, through the power of modus tollens, God does not exist.
Okay, that's a hell of a statement and very well done. And my thing here is I don't want to believe that And this is where faith comes into it.
Well, I'm not concerned with what you do or don't want to
around.
believe. This isn't a therapy session. What I'm interested in is what we have reasons to believe.
You don't have to be.
As far as I can tell, we don't have reason to believe in God, and we actually, the argument that I just give being one of them, have lots of reasons not to believe in God. Do you have any response to the argument that I gave?
I do a little bit. The only response is that God was shown consistently in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, it's more about the preaching of Jesus Christ.
Do you have any response to the argument that you asked for?
You're just an ass.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I'm such an asshole for keeping you to the topic of the conversation. You asked me for an argument, and it's so rude of me to ask you to actually respond to the thing you asked me to say.
No, you're right. Have a good day.
Really?
I mean, what else you...
Yeah, no, that's fine. What else do I want? I want you to actually respond to the argument that you asked for. That's what I want. But clearly that's not something you're capable of doing, so we move on, I guess. All right, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Just a question for folks in the queue. Do you think that it's better for me to just give arguments the way that I did there, where I just kind of like vomit the whole thing out? Or do you think that it's better to go premise by premise? Yeah, that's a good point, Caden. That's exactly what I'm asking. Is it better to just give premise by premise? Well, I have a notepad, right? The actual formal version of the argument that I just gave would be this. Right? Yeah, I think that's... Well, hey, that's a really good point, River. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I just need to get better at knowing, which people it's worth doing that with and which ones it's not. But I don't know. All right. Well, if God doesn't have a mind, then he doesn't have knowledge. If he doesn't have knowledge, I mean, I don't know that that's that's certainly not the Christian conception of God. Well, see, that's the other part of it, Zoomies. If they really want clarification, if they want it to be broken down, I could break it down, right? That's not that's a problem. All right. But yeah, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, Marmalade. Last time you were up here, you were an atheist.
Yeah, but I have an argument for being a deist, and I...
Okay, how old are you?
Probably be a deist too. I'm 32, and I believe in a God who don't give a F about us, but who created the universe.
And what is the argument or evidence to believe in that?
Yeah, my argument is some kind of fine-tuning in a Bayesianism framework.
And what would be the... what are the premises and conclusion?
The posterior odds equal prior odds times the base vector, and so since the physical constant sit in a vanishingly narrow observer permitting band.
How did you determine that?
I determined that because everything that we observe go in...
No, how did you determine that the constants could have been different?
How could they have been? I'm supposing...
You're saying that it's unlikely for them to be the values that they are, which means that there are a lot of other values they could have been. How did you determine how many different values the constants could have taken?
I just suppose it that they could
Yeah.
have taken any
Well, I
value.
mean, I just presuppose that the value or the constants could only be the values that they are, which means it's 100% likely that they are the values that they are because they couldn't have been any other way. And then there's now nothing to explain. There's no tuning to explain at all because it couldn't have been any different. See how if we just get to presuppose whatever we want, we can make the argument say whatever we want it to?
Yeah, no, that's clever. Yeah.
I don't think it's clever. I think it's just an obvious problem with just adding a bunch of presuppositions to your argument without verifying them first.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Is that all you had?
No, thanks. That was my point. All my point, I think.
All right. Well, I appreciate you at least approaching it honestly. Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think that we're going to get very far with most fine-tuning arguments because it's not going to do a ton for us. Aha. Okay. I'm not sure, Daniel. I know that he was up here before saying he was an atheist, and then this time he was a deist, so I have no idea. Yeah, you can totally ask me questions, Luna. You're in the Discord, right? You know how to get a hold of me. Okay. Yeah, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. All right. How many times have we talked now, Eldridge?
I only talked once.
Oh, well, it's been more than that, hasn't it?
Nah, just once.
I figured it was at least twice. How old are you?
I'm 50 years old, bro.
Okay, and are you Christian or?
I'm Christian.
Okay, what have you got for me?
Yes, I mean, like, it seems like you got all the answers. Really, I don't like about arguing with God, but I just want you to answer. I believe whatever you got to say, like, I believe you. You know what I'm saying? I just want to know, but if God isn't real, explain consciousness, not the brain, but the awareness inside of you that knows you exist. And if consciousness came from nothing, then nothing should be conscious. Yet here you are, aware, mobile, creative, spiritual, and longing for meeting.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen by incident.
Yeah, no, consciousness comes from evolution. It's just it's just a function of our brains.
Right. If there's no God.
Yeah, no, you already said all this. I'm answering your question.
No, I just said it.
I'm answering your question, Eldridge. I'm answering your question. I don't need all the yapping. We don't need all the yapping. I understand the question, and I can answer it. Consciousness, mental states are identical to brain states. Mental events are identical to brain events. So consciousness is just a product of the complex structures of the brain, and then our neural systems. So our neural structures. So that's all it is. We have no reason to think that it's anything else. That's why if you damage someone's brain, their conscious experience changes, because conscious experience is a product of the brain.
How do you know you exist?
Because I'm having an experience.
What kind of experience?
A phenomenological experience.
From where?
My consciousness. From my brain.
Does not answer my question.
Okay, then I don't understand the question.
You understand exactly what I'm talking about. If you're
if my responses weren't actually answering what you asked, were hoping I would answer, then that's because I didn't understand the question. If you want to rephrase the question, I'll answer it again.
Okay, I asked you, if God isn't real, explain consciousness, not the brain.
I did explain it.
No, not the brain.
They're the same thing.
Not the brain. No,
they're the same thing. Yes. Yes. That's what I'm telling you. I already explained it. Brain states, brain events are identical to, mental states and mental events are identical to brain states and brain events.
We're not talking about the brain.
Yes, we are. No, I know that you. Okay. So here's the thing, Eldridge. I'm telling you. I'm explaining this to you. I'm explaining this to you. What I'm telling you is that all the evidence that we have is that consciousness is a direct result of neural activity. It's from the brain. As far as I can tell, mental states, certain conscious states, are brain states. They're not a product of them. They are them. They're the same thing. So as far as I can tell, your mind just is your brain activity. Now, if you think that that's not the case, if you're saying that there's actually something else happening, then I would need some evidence to think that that's the case.
You're pretty much like the So
you said if I could explain it, that you would believe me, and I've explained it. If you don't think I've explained it well enough because consciousness is separate from the brain, then I would need some kind of evidence to think that that's the case. As far as I can tell, the only evidence we have is that consciousness is identical to the brain.
Consciousness can be identical. Like, So pretty
Okay,
much you
what's the
telling me.
reason to think that's
So
true?
pretty much you telling me that what makes you awareness? The only thing we can focus on is the brain here.
Again, I'm explaining to
Because if
you
we
that as
because
far
if
as
we
we
only
know
focus
from
because
neuroscience,
right,
the mental states are brain states. If you think that mental states and brain states are not the same thing, I would love to hear the argument for that.
because see the thing about with God, bro, you got to think outside the box. That's why he didn't give us evidence. He gave us faith.
Okay,
That's why you
so
got
it
to have
sounds like you
faith.
don't have
When
any
you,
arguments or
no,
evidence for your position. So I'm going to ask you one more time. If you don't have anything, then I'm just going to move on. What is any
okay,
argument or evidence for your
okay,
position that the mental states are not identical to brain states?
okay. I have one thing, and I'm gonna talk about. I'm not. It's not asking your question, but I want you to explain this to me. This is a true story that happened to me.
No, I'm not going to explain
Uh,
some true story that happened in your life.
no, I'm talking about.
We're not going to talk about your personal experiences. You're non-responsive to the question, so I'm moving on. Oofda. Oofda. Wait, what is happening in the chat right now? Yeah, Big Micah. As soon as I ask, can you actually explain this position? Well, I'll talk about something else. Thank you so much for the support, Sebastian, Dabnese, Discordant Rhyme, Casey. Thank you so much. Ken, Lem, Poopman Jones. Thank you guys so much. I sincerely appreciate it. Holy shit, we're almost at 4,500 followers. Jesus. Wow. Okay. That's fucking awesome. But yeah, I currently do not have anybody in the chat. I would love to have an actual conversation. I don't feel like we've gotten meant much in the way of actual good conversations. Where can't spell consciousness comes from. The brain. I think, Matt, that I would say the existence of Taylor Swift is evidence against God. But yeah, currently don't have anybody requesting. I'm not sure if anybody wants to actually have the conversation. Maybe I can yap about an argument or something for a little bit and see if anybody wants to come up. Oof. Well, we'll see if we can have a good conversation. I'm gonna have a real short fuse here if you start crashing out. Are you Christian? I don't remember.
How you doing? Yeah, I'm Christian.
Okay. And what is the reason to believe in God?
So, I mean, we've had this conversation before, but would it be alright if I asked you a question about why you believe that subjective experiences can emerge from just physical reality? Like why does physical reality generate a consciousness that can experience like qualia?
Yeah, I don't see any difference between that and asking, like acting like it's crazy that a calculator can calculate. You're telling me that physical matter just comes together and starts calculating? Like, yeah, it does. Like when you put specific types of matter into specific arrangements, it can produce complex things like the ability to calculate in a calculator, or the ability to run video games in a PlayStation or Xbox, or the ability to run Microsoft Word on a computer, or the ability for qualia, conscious experience, to happen in brains. Like, I don't see any difference between saying, like, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't think, or why we should think that it's strange that complex processes arise from complex arrangements of matter.
I think that's fair, but consciousness inherently you can't really point to it existing anywhere.
Yeah, we can. We point to it existing in our brains. I'm pointing to my consciousness right now. Your assumption that we can't point to it is just your you begging the question, saying that it doesn't exist in the brain. Now, granted, I'll say that me saying that I'm pointing to it is me begging the question, but I did that as an illustration of the problem with your point there.
So if you imagine a triangle in your mind, where does that triangle exist?
The problem here is that we shouldn't expect the experience or the representation of a thing to look the same as the thing that's being experienced or represented. So obviously, like if I'm thinking of a triangle while a neurologist has my skull opened up and is looking at my brain, there's no the neurologist would be having the experience of my experience, not of the thing that I'm experiencing. That's completely different. Like, for example, when you are playing Call of Duty and you're looking at the screen and you see, characters and weapons and buildings and stuff, do you think that you could open up the video game system and open up the processor and see those characters and those weapons and those buildings? Of course not, because those things are being represented by the processor, by the computer, but they're not in the computer. They're just representations that are then displayed on a screen in the same way where when I think of a triangle, all that's happening is there's a representation of a triangle in my brain, in my mind, not an actual triangle. That's different. There's no reason for us to think that the experience of a thing should be identical to the thing.
So when you're talking about and you're equating it to an image on a screen, what I'm asking you is, where is the screen? Because
the analog to the screen in the analogy would just be your mind's eye.
Correct. Where is
that? In your mind, obviously. It's a feature of your mind. And because different people have different minds, our mind's eyes work differently. For example, I have what's called aphantasia. I can't picture things in my brain. I don't have visual mental experiences. Like when you ask me to think about a triangle, I can think about the concept of a triangle, but I don't see a triangle. And that's not because the triangle doesn't exist or that I'm not having a representation of a triangle in my mind. It's just because my brain works differently than other people's brains do.
So I am actually curious about that because it does tie into this, obviously.
So look, here's the thing. We're just talking about consciousness right now. Is there any reason to believe in a God? That's what I'm interested in. My views on philosophy of mind notwithstanding, I don't see any reason to believe in a God, because I could completely change my position and start believing in substance dualism, or I could believe in idealism or any number of other theories of mind and still not believe in a God. So what is the reason to believe in a God?
So I'm trying to establish things that you acknowledge are real, in a sense that you interact with them, whether it's only through a mental substrate. And if I can get you to acknowledge that there are non-physical entities that exist, then we can push our way towards God.
Yeah, I don't have any reason to believe in any non-physical entities. And even if I did believe in some form of Platonism, like let's say I accepted mathematical Platonism, that still wouldn't get me any closer to believing in a God.
It gets you into believing in a category that God would exist in.
No, God is not a Platonic thing. I mean, at least not any conception, not any meaningful conception of God that I'm aware of.
Most of the arguments that I hear about material realists talking about...
I just want to know what the reason is to believe in a God. I don't want your analysis of arguments that you don't agree with.
So I'm getting there. What I'm saying is...
Yeah, I don't want you to get there. I want you to be there giving the argument for God, please.
So, okay, the argument would be, if you believed in a non-physical...
No, we're not talking about if I believed in things that I don't believe in. If your argument relies on me accepting things I don't accept, then we're not going to get anywhere. So what is the reason to believe in God, no matter what I currently believe in?
Well, I need to walk you down a chain of logic to get there first. If you don't believe in doors and I try to explain to you what a door is, I would first have to explain to you what a physical barrier that opens and connects two spaces is.
So you don't have...
Obviously, there's a path that we have to go down.
No, there isn't. Just give me the argument for God. Let's imagine that I accept whatever, accept idealism or fucking Platonism or whatever. This has nothing to do with a God existing.
How so?
it is possible to believe in things like Russellian monism, for example, where you think that all things have qualitative properties, and not believe in a God. You could believe in idealism, that reality is fundamentally conscious, and not believe in a God. You could believe in substance dualism, that there is a difference between physical substances and mental substances, and not believe in a God. You could believe in property dualism, that physical things sometimes have mental properties, and you would still not believe in a God. There's no reason to say that just like you can believe in all kinds of forms of Platonism and still not believe in a God. So like it seems like you're just doing this incredulous thing where like, well, obviously if you believe in something non-physical, then you can believe in a God. Like, no, those things aren't connected. So I just want the argument for God, please.
No, I think you're right. I'll have to reconsider my argument. Thanks for having me up.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. This is, I think, the best conversation that we've had, and I thank you for that. Take care. Yeah, I just don't see, like, yeah, back to the argument mines. Did we do it? Ah, we fucking hit it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. 4,500 followers is fucking crazy. Well, thank you, Bradley. I sincerely appreciate the support from everybody here. Like, genuinely, I don't know. It blows me the fuck away. I say this a lot, but like when I started streaming, I figured if I ever had 20 people watching at the same time, it would be a huge win. So the fact that we're here, consistently have hundreds of people watching, now at over 4,500 followers, I don't know. It just blows me away. It just blows me away. I cannot thank you everybody enough for the support. All the people supporting like Lem and Sebastian and Poopman Jones and Broken Tree Branch and fucking 3 Pips. And I mean, there's too many people for me to scroll through and say everybody again, but like, thank you so much, everybody, for the support. It genuinely means so much to me. And again, like, because people are supporting, I'm able to do a lot of things that I wouldn't otherwise. I'm currently saving up for a computer, to get a nicer computer to improve the stream. I've been able to buy cameras and monitors, and I'm looking at buying a new chair because this piece of shit, I don't know if you can see it, this piece of shit that I'm sitting on right now, is something that I've had for years, and like it's junk and it's uncomfortable, and yeah, so I mean, like it's because you guys are supporting that I've been able to do stuff, and hoping that I can continue to do things to improve the stream. Showing me to people is awesome. Thank you so much for that. Genuinely, that means a lot to me. Watching while you're playing video games, that's awesome. So I am going to go ahead and end the stream. I've been going for a couple hours, and that's typically as long as I like to go. And oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so here's what I want to do before I go. I want to say a couple of things. Just remember, oh shit, fucking. This is what I wanted to do. Okay. So here's the thing that I always like to say before I end the stream is that tomorrow is not guaranteed. You don't know how many opportunities you have left to let your family and friends know that you love them. So please make sure